Hi, everybody. I'm Dan Cooper, your host for today. Welcome to the Sharpen Podcast, brought to you by Acumen, an exclusive community of CEOs and business owners to help you start up, ramp up, scare up. Why don't we scale up? We could do that and sell eventually. This is a look inside of business. We all do things, but this is kind of the thing below the thing. On this episode, we're going to talk about something below the thing, integrating real estate into your business. We all have businesses, and we all need offices sometimes in this new place. So I'm with a guy today who's wildly strategic and he likes to do the most good possible. He's part of the Excel team in Kansas City, and his name is Mike Farag, the owner of Fervor Marketing. Welcome, Mike.
Oh, hey, Dan. Good to be with you.
So always good to be with you, man. Give us the quick once over. What do you do? Who do you do it for?
Fervor is a full service marketing communications agency for Christian nonprofits. Our goal and our sole mission for the last 15 years has been to help them grow in meaningful and healthy ways. And gosh, we've just had a lot of success doing that for the mid-market for Christian nonprofits, helping them raise money, helping them articulate their story, which sometimes is really difficult to do, and helping them figure out ways to grow that they might not have seen without us. That's what we get a chance to do day in and day out, and it's a joy to do it. I serve with a team of people here in Kansas City. I've been a part of the Acumen community for the last 6 years and been around it really for even since almost, I'd like to say, the inception. And I love it. It's been hugely beneficial for us and our business. And the community has been just a joy to be around. Makes me better every day, which is what I'm trying to do with our team and our clients. So it just makes sense.
I appreciate those sentiments. Before I had Acumen as my big boy role, I hung out at Fervor Marketing from time to time, playing as someone in a part of his team. So there's a lot of connection between Mike and I. Okay, so a couple of years ago, you embarked on a new journey, something totally outside of everything you just said that you did. And so there's this discussion today is about adding real estate to like this portfolio approach of like what you do for business. And so, as someone who may have moved offices a couple of times, like tell us like how did you get to this point where buying real estate made sense in a strategic marketing agency?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think like lots of business owners, when we really start to examine the business that we're in and we're trying to do a couple of different things, one key thing comes up for almost all of us, at least it did for me, which is diversification. And that has been on my brain for a number of years because, you know, most of my time and energy goes into this business. And also most of the, income stream, et cetera, is all tied to our main business at Fervor. And so as my wife and I started to think about this and work with financial advisors, et cetera, diversification became one of those, words and themes in our life. And so that was on our brain. But also going on in the business was a need. We have strategic meetings almost all the time. As a strategic marketing agency, that's part of what we do. We bring people together, sometimes in person, sometimes not in person. But over the years, we have meeting after meeting after meeting where we are whiteboarding, we are creating, we are collaborating together as a group of people, both with clients and as our team. And I got to tell you, Dan, I hate bad meeting spaces. And I just have this desire because I believe in my heart that if you want to have great ideas, if you want to have great meetings, and if you're going to spend the time and energy to get expensive people together, we should set the environment up so that we are successful. Because if we hope at a church basement or maybe with crappy technology or these kinds of things that we can just all of a sudden overcome all those things and have great ideas and great meetings and our people are going to just explode with awesomeness, I just think we're maybe deceiving ourselves a bit. So this kind of came up as both a diversification thing and I'm in bad meeting spaces and post as we went through the pandemic, we were renting but all those the world sort of started to change an awful lot. And so we found ourselves trying a lot of different meeting spaces and a lot of different office spaces and saying, man, what where do we land? How do we land? So that's kind of what got me into starting to think about buying a piece of real estate, was this diversification thing, and then just being displeased with all of the different places to rent a meeting space, or to find an office space, but then not needing a really big office space, for every day. And so I started thinking about maybe a piece of real estate that I own can diversify me and, solve this problem I have.
Okay, so you have the idea. It makes sense since the biggest investment in your portfolio is the most alternative asset class, which is a business, right? You have 80 or
Right.
90% of said wealth in that. So diversification makes total sense. How do you start this journey?
Yeah. Well, I'm a wise counsel guy. So like I just start asking lots of questions with lots of people. And the great thing about the marketing business is it gives me access to a lot of people, lots of, business leaders, owners, executive directors, and I start asking lots of questions. You know, have you ever bought a piece of real estate? Was it a good idea? When you did it, what did you learn? And so Acumen became a great community for me to ask, because lots of us in our community have and own real estate as part of their business, and some are thinking about that. So I started asking lots of questions. I go to lots of different counsel and questions, and just start jotting down ideas. And it became pretty clear that I was interested and interested enough to say, like, hey, Fervor could rent from, itself, if you will, and we could own a small building, a small piece of real estate, make it, kind of meeting space that we know we need and want, that our clients would enjoy and that our team would need. And it would be an anchor. It's also an anchor for business. The other thing that I've found, kind of post is this is like, man, anytime you lay down roots as a business, it starts to allow for a bigger tree. And so I did not anticipate that, because I think the world is changed and allowed lots of business to operate, very remotely and very independently of an office space. But there is still something about roots. That's our place. It's not airware. There's a real permanence to that, that I just didn't anticipate having as much value as it has over the past almost 2 years.
Yeah, more about that. What does roots give you? Like, where's the
Yeah.
value?
I mean, we are a hybrid. So we use our office space one day corporately a week. So here I'm standing saying, hey, roots matter. And I'm saying we went hybrid more than most businesses are operating today. But what happens is you still have permanence, a place to bring clients, a place to bring teams. We have clients from all over the country. In fact, 70% of our business is outside of Kansas City. Here's what's happening. They're asking us, can we come to your space? Because we've made a place that is great for meetings. And so we have clients coming in from Chicago, from Dallas, from Denver to meet at our place, to bring their teams collectively and connected in our building. What a great way to connect both our business and theirs long term. That's the sort of roots that I mean, is I did not anticipate them saying, hey, can we just, even if we're not having a meeting with Fervor, can we use your space for 2 days?
Hmm.
And I'm like, that is absolutely what I did not anticipate, and what I am absolutely ecstatic about. So we have clients coming, using our space even when they're not meeting directly with us. It's just a joy to have a connecting point for them, and to be able to provide for them in a different way than just strategic marketing and communications.
Okay, so you've said this enough times that we need to peel the onion a bit. Uh, what's a good meeting space versus a bad meeting space? Like,
Yeah,
you're like, listen, I hate bad meetings. So what are those, and
yeah.
what is different about your place?
Well, if you're listening and you don't like details, this is where you tune out on me, okay, kids? So no problem here. But we're talking about inside the business, and you're talking about guys that are trying to solve problems, and I think every entrepreneur can relate to me in that way. So here we go. The other thing that so as we started to think about a building and we started to look at buildings, we got a broker, and a great one, who just really started helping us look at the market and understand the market a little bit, and what we could do or couldn't do. We knew most likely we were going to have to do a renovation, because to me, a great meeting space has a great technology. So most meetings are multimedia today. A client comes in and then somebody's sick, can't make it. kid sick, can't make it, whatever the cause is, we need to be able to have great multimedia. So in our main conference room at Fervor, there is a fantastic, 4K plus camera, multiple mic pods for good audio, because nobody loves, I can't hear you on the Zoom call. Like, I can't hear you. Can you speak up? Like, this is bad meeting experience. When you go to the whiteboard and you're like, hey, I want to whiteboard ideas because we're having a great meeting for 2 or 3 or 4 hours. Turns out there's whiteboard cameras. With the touch of a button, you can hit, and turn a whiteboard camera on where everybody in that Zoom or video experience can be included in the meeting. Great audio, great technology means great audio and inclusion within the meeting. And that's what I think great meetings have to have. By the way, whiteboards. Can I just say this? Like, every country club I've ever been in, they wheel in like the smallest whiteboard known to man. You guys have seen this. I'm not making this up. This is just they don't believe in putting up whiteboards on the wall. Why in the world? I don't know. It's just against so the old artwork exists where a whiteboard should go. It's just bad meeting experience, bad chairs, poor sound quality. When I go into a conference room, Dan, and it's hot, and I can't control, they put that box over it so you can't control the thermostat, and you're hot all day long. This is a bad meeting experience. Why? Because the environment matters for the ideas and the efficacy of what's going to happen with expensive people that I put around that table. So I got to control all of the details.
I can't tell your passion here, Mike. That's you obviously haven't had bad meetings. So
we've all been in them, right? This is a ubiquitous, every executive I've ever met have been in a bad meeting, and partly they've been in a bad meeting because of the space and the environment that they were in, not necessarily because of the people.
All right, so let's plug this other thing, because you accidentally stumbled upon something fun.
Yeah.
You gave it a name and a different brand. So, there's a Fervor side, but now there's this other side called the Bonhoeffer, which the rant you just went on kind of birthed this new idea.
It totally
Who
did.
knew an entrepreneur would have another idea and start a shiny object business? Who knew?
I got permission first.
What is Bonhoeffer, and how does that fit into like the Fervor thing?
Sure. Well, I got permission from my wife to do another business. By the way, I highly recommend getting permission before you go starting another business. But that's another topic. But we did. So we found a small format building, and we thought, hey, we've got more space than we need, especially as a hybrid environment for Fervor. So we built, purpose built our own office environment for our needs. And then we had some space, and we kept thinking, hey, we have a desire to have great meetings and maybe share this easier with others. And so the idea was a rentable meeting space, purpose built for meetings. Most of the space you'll find in most markets, in many markets, is, it's event space, meant for weddings, and they'll make it for a meeting. Or it's a country club where it's meant for a very corporate meeting and not a working whiteboard session with good technology and really great experience. They'll bring you great food, but that's about the sum of their experience. And it's really not built for, half day, all day meetings. Our councils, as an example, at Acumen, or these consultants that have now come up, EOS and the like, who need a day session with a team. And post pandemic, what's happened is lots of us gave up our office space, and they downsized, or they went remote, and now they still need a place to convene a team on occasion, once a year, twice a year, maybe once a month or more. And so we built the Bonhoeffer, purpose-built strategic meeting space. It's 1,600 square feet. It's got a great boardroom that's workable, manageable. You can move the tables. In fact, set the tables how you want to. We'll set them for you. Great technology in there. Easy plug and play. It's fully stocked. Waters and coffees and everything are ready. So I don't have to go to Panera and get the coffee thing, and then wheel it all in. All the whiteboard markers you need, all the stuff that I just didn't want to carry with me, and I thought should already be there, are here for them. So we have board meetings and staff meetings and strategy meetings, and it's hosted just like an Airbnb. We give you a code, you code in, you could book it tonight. Here's the other thing. I hated having to call these event spaces and talk to a coordinator and then get like, it's like 4 days. And I'm like, man, I got to meet tomorrow. We live in the future, in my opinion. And so like you could book today on your phone, no problem. And the calendar's open and updated just like you would expect, 2024 meeting space to operate. There's a shared kitchen, full commercial coffee, ice maker, the whole thing, anything you need, we've pretty much thought of. We have three, to turn over a meeting of 15 people, we did some research, you at least need 3 bathrooms. Why? Because you can't be waiting too long. And in some of these meeting spaces, it turns out, you're waiting, so now you've got to go from a 5 or 10 minute break to 15 or 20. So in our space, we put the right amount of everything, in our opinion. There's a patio to enjoy. It's made for the things that we thought would be important to people to have great meetings. So it's called the Bonhoeffer, and it's set separate. It's a separate line item under the same roof, but a separate business, and we run it as a separate business. And it has been a joy to see who comes in the doors. Just this week, we hosted 2 nonprofit board meetings and an EOS session for clients. And we just love to see that happen. Some of our clients are using it. Some of the Acumen community is using it, and beyond. It's been a blessing and a joy to see that thing go.
Oh, here's kind of 3 things. So first of all, that's fun and cool. It is in that space, and we do enjoy using it. One, you did it for investment and diversification, right? It's got to make business sense. 2, there was a strategic fit in this new version, post-pandemic world that we live in. And then 3, it's even some more income and some opportunistic way to continue to diversify and do something. So, okay, I'm hearing you. This sounds great, man. And obviously you're a marketer, so you might be able to talk about all the good things and the benefits pretty well. So get a little bit reality here. What was your experience like looking for a building? Like, okay, I'm about to go do this. Give me some advice, Mike.
Yeah. Well, I'm not an expert. I've done this once and stayed at a Holiday Inn, Select last night. So I'll give you that level of expertise in terms of commercial real estate. What I have learned is it's harder than I thought. So even a small format building, a 5,000 or so square foot building, I thought would be like buying a big house. Well, it turns out it's not like buying a big house. So level set your expectations. Get some wise counsel around you that's done it before. Super helpful for me. We did some things with the real estate. What I love about what real estate does is there are a lot of advantages for business owners to rent from themselves, number one, maybe find some diversification opportunities like we did with the Bonhoeffer, but also from a tax perspective. And find, if you don't have a great CPA or a great financial advisor to really, help you in this, man, I would do that before you go into the commercial buy process, because we did a couple of things. Cost segregation we did, which has been amazing, and I would highly recommend. And that allows us to advance depreciate some things within the building, and certainly helps on both sides of the business.
For the newbies, what is cost segregation? Just real quick, high level.
Where you have an engineer come in, an engineering firm come in, and they look at all the parts and pieces of the building. They break that down and they pull forward the things that can be pulled forward. Typically, a commercial property's 39-year depreciation schedule, which doesn't really hit anybody's bottom line or tax advantage until you move that 39 years to 3 or 5. And that starts to make a major difference now in tax versus later. So the cost segregation, not super costly for the value it provides, in my opinion. And we did that and loved it. The other is, you get a chance to work on rent and rents to yourself and these kinds of things that are really valuable, I think, as a business owner, when you're thinking about how do you run the business and how do we take income, the ways we take income out of our main business. Now I have a separate one that allows me to push and pull things, which is, a huge advantage in some ways, as long as the main business is doing okay. The reality is you got increasing, interest rates and all the things out there, but I've never heard a business owner saying an asset, having and owning an asset and having the business help pay for that asset was a bad idea, even if the interest rates are up commercial real estate being, a little more volatile, I'd just be careful. The small format buildings seem to be a little less insulated than, owning 100,000 square feet of office space. I don't know that I'd feel great about that. But when you're talking about, 5,000, 10,000 square feet, we're not talking about an awful lot. And for our team, we'll be able to house, 30 or so folks in that office very easily, and still operate the Bonhoeffer. So there's some great value in these kinds of things internally. It takes your attention away from the main business. There's just no way about it. If you do it like I did it, yes, you hire a general contractor to do the, renovation, but guys, I mean, I can't discount I was distracted for a period of time, and the main business took a little bit of a hit because I was distracted. And if you're a small business like I am, like that's a reality that you got to be careful of too. And I was fortunate to have my wife keeping me in check a little bit, but it took that to make sure I didn't really get totally into the real estate thing. I got a little passionate about it. So
That's weird. You'd get passionate about something. How many buildings did you look at before you landed?
20 plus. Yep. Three. This was our third offer, third main offer.
Third
So
offer.
yeah. And here's the other thing I'll just throw, man. Anytime I got I learned a lot about environmental studies, phase one, phase two, environmental studies. Those things are no joke. You don't have to do these in residential for the most part, maybe radon or something, which is super easy. Environmentals are not easy and not cheap. So, good broker saves you all the things. Please get wise counsel, because I might have gone a little early ahead of my skis on the first offer or so, and had to learn some painful financial lessons. So,
Any other tidbits like that that are worthy to share? Because I mean, that's nitty-gritty stuff right there.
it is yeah, I think that's, those things are so different. I mean, I just didn't anticipate on a commercial the cost of things being so much different than a residential, especially on this size of a building. That was a mind change for me, that commercial, there's a basement that exists, because if you think about even appraisals on commercial, they have a basement and they're a lot more money. It's 10x of everything plus what you might think it is for just a big old house. I thought, gosh, a 5,000 square foot can't be that bad for an appraisal. Turns out, it's a whole different ball game. Banking, if depending on what you're doing in banking, we did a combination SBA bank to leverage, risk and mitigate risk across. We did a 504 loan. Those are great. They allow for you to get in at 10%, as opposed to a 20 or 30% initial owner investment. And loved that, but that comes with some hurdles too. The bank requires and will come at you with, all the things that you and I know and love as business owners, personal guarantees and all the things that come with that. Find yourself a great banker, and have a relationship before you get into, the buy side of the building. So those things are just, man, I learned along the way. Unfortunately, maybe along the way, in some cases, maybe a little later than I might have wanted. So
It's good stuff. Uh, would you do it again?
I would absolutely do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen such a benefit already with, like I mentioned, kind of the roots of what we're seeing with our clients and our team, even though we use it as a hybrid model team, a very hybrid model team. And we're seeing benefit on tax and income side as a business owner. What's happening is that diversification that I had thought about years ago is happening. So, and I'm just seeing some ways that I didn't even anticipate those things happen. And so I would absolutely do it again. I would go in a little more eyes open with my team, with a team of experts ready to go, at a little stronger pace. For sure, my second round will be much different if I do it than my first, but I would do it again.
Okay, so investment and diversification with a strategic fit that has some income and opportunity. Be careful on time and make sure you got a deal team in place,
Right.
trusted advisors to go. Those are all good things to think about when you start thinking about real estate. All right, bonus question, man. How are you sharpened, challenged, and inspired currently?
Yeah. I mean, I love having I have this thought around, especially being sharpened, and that is I always have to have a Paul ahead of me who's helping me look at things in a different way, who's 10 or 15 years ahead of me. And I've got a great one in that. And he keeps me humble. He calls me out. You always have to have some Barnabas along for the ride. And I just got done with a great trip with some buddies who do that really, really well with me, who are also trying to strive in their own lives to be great Christian men, to be great fathers, to be great husbands and business leaders, not just business leaders, but also a holistic view of life. And I love that. And they were challenging me even on some faith components in my life and theirs. And then I think the missing piece for most of us, and when I'm really sharpened, I'm teaching somebody else because now I have nowhere to hide. And so a Timothy underneath you has to be there. Otherwise, what happens is you're kind of okay with somebody pouring into you and some brothers or sisters in arms, but you forget that when you pour into somebody else, you level up. And for me, over the last year, I've just had a kind of a new Timothy come into my life that has really helped me sharpen because I don't want to tell him something that I'm not willing to do on my own. And so when I have those things, those boxes checked, especially the Timothy underneath me, uh, brother, I am sharpened, I am challenged, and I'm inspired, and I feel like I get a chance to go do bigger and better tomorrow than I did yesterday.
Looking up at a mentor, going alongside people shoulder to shoulder and having a mentee. It's funny, not a lot of people look for mentees
We don't,
in that.
and it's hard, and I get that it's hard because our time is so limited. I've got four little kids at home. I've got two businesses. I got a piece of real estate. I mean, like, hey, the excuses are plenty for me
Mm.
not to take the 90 minutes at least once a month to meet with this young man. And what I find is the more things that are in the way, the better the result is. And so when it's hard for me to get that scheduled and I'm like, ooh, I just don't have time. Maybe I should cancel. That's when I really know it's going to be really good and fruitful. And I would just encourage all of us to consider that because we've got a place and stories and knowledge and expertise to share, even if we don't think we do.
That is good stuff, Mike Farag. All right, where can listeners find out more about you and what you
Yeah.
do for a living?
Well, Fervor has a piece of real estate, Midtown Kansas City, 316 East 31st Street. But createfervor.com is where to find us online. If you Google Fervor or the Bonhoeffer, as a digital marketer, I'm hoping I'm doing my job here in Kansas City. You'll find us there. But anybody can find us online, createfervor.com or thebonhoeffer.com. That's where we're at.
Right on. If you are interested in becoming a member of Acumen, go to acumenimpact.com and click on the apply button. Or if you'd like to learn more, we have a ton of great content under the resources tab. Mr. Farag, great to be with you today.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
All right, peace.